I made a horror game based on a Minecraft movie. Fellas, tell me this. Have you ever sneezed, burped, and sharted all at the same time? Right, neither have I, but Warner Bros. Certainly did, and this is what came out. 2 hours of fun for the whole family, starring Kung Fu Panda, Aquaman, and I would love to tell you more about this film, but I never cared to spend the time letting it melt my brain. For those of you whose brains have already finished leaking out of your ears, what that means is that I haven't even seen the Minecraft movie. Some of you might be thinking now, Luke, how can you make a game about a movie if you haven't even seen the movie? Well, I don't have an exact answer for that, but I want you to know that this is called schizophrenia. Hi. If you paid any attention in your history classes, you would have remembered that back when the Minecraft movie came out, which was back in, no. I don't even want to talk about how late I am to the party on this one. Whenever the Minecraft movie came out, there was pushback from the community regarding how creepy the animals looked. And although I wasn't one of the many dingleberries ready to burn down the local cinema for portraying my sweet Minecraft lamb like it was a dropped child, I do have to admit that this is a style. Now, if we go back further in time, we can see that something somewhat similar happened to the Sonic movie when they designed Sonic to be the literal furry Antichrist. But when the death threats started pumping in, Sony Pictures quickly redesigned Sonic to look more like the literal furry son of God. Most of the Minecraft fans expected something similar to happen when all the incels started protesting by sacrificing incelibates in the streets. But almost surprisingly, the bros over at the Big Dub stuck to their guns, practically flat out ignoring the weebs. Despite the initial pushback over the interesting animal designs, the Minecraft movie was supposedly a success, with supposedly people enjoying it, and supposedly nobody was disturbed by the weird portrayal of the animals. But I, an unk who to this day still hasn't seen the movie, am still disturbed. Specifically, I made a horror game about the animals in the movie based on the animals in the game. To be clear, it's not based on the game. I do realize there are some spooky things in the Minecraft game, but this isn't about that. This is about the movie, which I have not seen. I don't know what I'm doing here. But you want to subscribe, right? Before we get started, I want to say that despite me saying the word Minecraft many times throughout this video, I do not own anything related to Minecraft game or the Minecraft movie or the properties of Mojang or Microhard or the Wiener Bros. Anything in this video that might look similar to something found in the Minecraft game or the Minecraft movie is purely coincidental or parody. Whatever I need to say to keep those big thug companies off my broke little butt. When I was starting with this idea, my thinking was that I could base the game off of the pandemonium that I kept hearing about happening in the movie theaters where the Minecraft movie was premiering it. Things like kids vandalizing with popcorn and crucifying the Gen Alpha minimum wage workers every time that Blackjack said flint and steel. So the original idea was that the setting would be in a theater that was in chaos and burning down, and you played as a roly-poly Steve fighting off crazed movie attendants, and then there would be one of those animals as a monster that would come out and get you. I didn't ever really like this idea too much, so I didn't stick with it for too long, but I did get partway through making a very round model of Steve Black before moving on. Maybe the fact that I couldn't teach him how to swing a sword properly was what made me give up on this idea. But it also doesn't make a whole ton of sense to be chased by a weird looking lamb through a burning movie theater. That's when I decided that the game about animals would probably work well if I worked around the concept of there being a herd of animals. Here's the idea, taking inspiration from games like Papers, Please, Quarantine Zone, and maybe even Zoocosis. What if there was a herd of animals that were all creepy looking, but one or more of them were actually monsters hiding as animals? As a player, it would be your job to find the monsters disguised as animals before you could leave the level. While hunting for the monsters, there could be a chance for the monster to reveal itself in order to chase you down and try to kill you. I thought this was an acceptable idea. I mean, who didn't love Zoocosis? First, I need to set up some entities that would randomly move around within an enclosed area. The blue pill represents the normal animal, and the red pill represents the monsters pretending to be a regular animal. This is how it looks with a bunch of... Dude, I wasn't gonna say anything, but your Wi-Fi kinda sucks. Kidding, that's me that's doing that. Adding all those animals absolutely slaughtered my frame rate, and I think I ended up fixing it. So now we have all these pill animals. We know one of them is a monster in hiding, and it's the player's job to find that hiding monster animal. I want to have several different ways the player can identify the monster. I only have a couple ideas for this now though. One of those ways can be a visual clue that the player just has to look for. Then another way could be through a testing device that could give another piece of the puzzle. To know you found the monster, you will have to find an animal that fits all the required criteria, like in a Venn diagram. I started getting this testing tool mechanic working on the flock of pills. You can see here that when the pill turns green, that means that it tested negative for gonorrhea.
Say that again?
Unlike suppositories, these types of pills aren't very fun, so let's start making an animal model to take its place. I want to have there be multiple types of animals in this game, but to start off we'll just have one, and the most iconic freak in the animal kingdom, that is the Minecraft movie, is this guy. At least in my opinion it is. So I started by making this boxy lamb model. Looking back at our role model here, personally it seems like the most creepiness comes from its eyes and its mouth, so I made sure to keep that in mind while making this guy. I really want to make these sheep pink, like in the movie, but my imaginary lawyer warned me that copyright laws exist, so I'm not going to push my luck with that one. Plead insanity.
diddy.
After getting him to walk, I tossed him into the game multiple times, and this is how it turned out. It looks so flocking good! That's a good one. Alright, so if one of these woolly fuglies is actually a monster pretending to be an animal, how do we identify it? For a little while, I was planning on keeping the way the testing mechanic worked on the pills, where after testing the pill, it would show it was in the clear by turning green. But I can't just turn the sheep green after I finish testing them, so at first I just slapped an FDA-approved sticker on the tested sheep's face. I ended up changing this because it wasn't very fun, but I figured it deserved an honorable mention. While I was trying to figure out what to do for the testing mechanic, I decided to spice up the environment. Real quick, if you've made it this far in the video and you're enjoying it so far, it's time to get out of the bathroom. You have been sitting there for too long. Whoever it is that is living with you has been groundhogging for the past hour. Thank you for your support. Now let's get back to the video. The white background is getting old, so I decided to start making a setting for these sheep to be in. Do any of you remember that one game called Crazy Cattle 3D? It's a game where you control a lamb and try not to tip over. A beautifully simple game that didn't make any sense. I actually really liked the almost liminal aesthetic of the 3 different stages you could play in, so I started making something similar to one of them. An empty desert setting with red sand with an enclosure where the sheep were surrounded by a chain link fence. I thought it'd be cool to have it be basically a cage with the chain link ceiling too. I felt like it subconsciously tells the player that something weird is going on, because what kind of sheep need to have a ceiling caging them in like that? Also, look at that sunset. Okay, change the sunset and the environment to make it look more dusty. I'm still trying to decide whether or not this scene should be in the dark or not, because it's a horror game. For reference, here's how it looks when it's dark with a flashlight. Let me know down there what you think I should do here. Okay, I think I have a decent idea for testing the animals. I decided that instead of the tester just identifying the animal as either a normal animal or a monster, the test results would just show a particular color. The color doesn't immediately mean anything, and for the player to identify the monster, they'd have to find an animal that matches both the right test color and matches the other identifying characteristics. Again, like a Venn diagram. Here's me making the testing device. Now we need the other method of identifying the monster, which was some kind of visual clue. Some ideas that I implemented are different markings on the body of the animal, or what I'm going to call blemishes. Depending on the level, there could be a particular blemish that the player needs to look for amongst the other blemishes. Some other ideas that I implemented were animals not casting a shadow, levitating, or bleeding. I was thinking of having some more freaky stuff like animals missing eyes or having deformed limbs. I haven't added any of those in the game yet though. Then, after using both visual clues and the tester to identify which animal you think is the monster, we can reuse that sticker mechanic to slap on a non-FDA approved sticker. But it didn't really feel satisfying to just slap the sheep and then go home, so I came up with the idea of trying to corral the sheep into a quarantined area. There's been a lot of online buzz recently about animal cruelty, and my personal stance is that I like animals. I do not commend any kind of cruelty towards them whatsoever. That being said, I designed a taser in the game to help shock these little turds into obedience. So the idea is that I could use a separate tasing tool that will shock the animals and send them running away from the player. So the player would arrive on the scene, identify the monster, and then once they think they found it, they can use the taser thing to get the animal into the quarantine area. And if they did it right, they would get some kind of a bonus, extra points. I realized that the monster testing device looks like it would make a good taser for these ugly beasts, but I like it as a tester. So instead I made a tasing baton rod looking thing. To signify that it was zapping, I made these electric looking coil things twist around the rod when using it, which I think turned out pretty cool. Here's both the tools in the player's hands. I'll fix that later. I feel like this plan is getting us a pretty mid-gameplay loop, which is to say an improvement. Most of the game will be spending close with the animals, but I wanted to make a hub spot that the player would return to after each level. The way I envisioned this working is that the player would start in this hub spot, then go to a level where they would have to find the monster, then return to the hub after the level was finished. This would make a nice resting safe space that I can totally exploit with a jump scare later on. That's a secret, don't tell anyone.
And it also provides an excellent location for the player to shop for upgrades as well. Instead of just appearing in each level, I thought it'd be cool for there to be this ratchety elevator box like thing that brings the player up into the level and lets them into the cage, where the animals and the monster are. But if they pop up into the level by elevator, it stands to reason that the hub area would be under the stage where the player is hunting for the monster. So I decided to make the hub area inside an underground cave. Or some might even call it, dare I say it, a mine. Here's me making the mine hub.
Robert.
Yeah.
It's pissing me off.
Now, if we are going to have a shop down in the mines in this game, not at all associated with Minecraft or the Minecraft movie, then we will need to have a shopkeeper. But who should be the one in the mines? I guess it would have also worked if I had made a villager be the shopkeeper. That would have been more in line with the game, at least. That's what I do with my villagers. But I felt like this game would really be caught lacking if I didn't add a character who could whisper sweet nothings in my ear, like chicken jockey. Here's me making our man Stack? Jeeves? Let's do Jeeves.
Oh, looking good, Jackie, my boy.
This guy turned out a lot better than the walking ball of diabetes I made earlier. Look at our man Jeeve go. I couldn't find a good animation for him in Mixamo, so this is the animation I made for him. I love it. You stretch those jeggings, king. Yes. What kind of upgrades you'll be able to buy in Jeeve's shop, I'm not sure yet. If you have any ideas for some good upgrades with this gameplay, let me know.
We've got some interesting ideas, but I think it's time to add something spooky. The only scary thing in this game so far is this face, which isn't really an it's more of a you get it.
To add some creepiness, I thought it would be cool if while the monster was hiding, it had the chance of killing one of the other sheep surrounding it as it walked about, leaving behind a dead carcass. Now you might think that this would give the monster's position away too much, but it actually works really well. Here's me making the sheep carcass. To start, I hollowed out the sheep model and added some ribcage bones. I was liking the idea of having some organs and guts spilling out from the cavity, as if the monster was just slaughtering the animals for fun. I don't think this turned out too realistic, but due to the nature of YouTube's almighty laws, it's safer if I don't risk showing you all here. I'm sorry guys. If you want to see how this looks without the blur, you can go see it on my Patreon. And I'll keep it free for everyone to see. Making all that was a bit of a waste of time though, because after I finished it, I didn't actually like the way it looked, so I decided to remove the organs and stretch out some of the meaty sections, so it looked more like the animal was rotting. I like the second look a lot better, and I feel comfortable showing it off here. After adding some flies that would buzz out from the dead body with a blood splatter underneath it, I'd say it's looking pretty good. I also added the ability to pick up and drop the carcass, although there's not really a reason to be able to do this. I was thinking maybe you could toss them into a meat grinder, but I don't know what the point of that would be either. Whatever, you let me know if you can think of what the player should be doing with all these dead carcasses. It's about time we talk about this monster that is pretending to be a lamb. We all know at this point that the monster is hiding amongst the animals. I wanted the creature to blend in perfectly with the other sheep, and to be able to transform into its monster form from its sheep form. This is some of the concept art I did for the sheep monster in particular. I came up with this idea that the monster could sprout thick spider-like legs from its mouth and out from its neck, and then flip itself around where it would reveal a gaping mouth on the underbelly. I started by adding a skeleton to how I wanted the spider limbs to be situated on the body. Then I carved out the underbelly of the lamb and gave it its wicked looking gums and teeth. I had to put together the crawling animation myself without help from Mixamo, and honestly I feel pretty proud of how it turned out. Look at my freaky boy go. This is how it looks when we're being chased in the daylit version of the game.
How did you get up there?
This guy doesn't really have a name. In the code files it's just called Monster Lamb, but one of my Patreon supporters, pro voice actor, suggested it should be called the SHOG after confusing the lambs for hogs or pigs. And I think that's a pretty solid name for a monster, but I recorded this section of the video with the plan of calling it Lamb Chops, so I don't know, I guess he's both. He can be the SHOG when he's feeling spooky, and Lamb Chops when he's feeling cute. He's not like those other one-dimensional monsters, he's got a great personality. The way the monster works at the moment is that every time Lamb Chops touches an animal while it's in its lamb form, there's a chance for it to kill that animal. With each death of the animals, there's a slight chance the monster is triggered into transforming and revealing itself. This creates some time pressure for the player to want to find the monster and get out. When the monster does reveal itself and transform, the player has to quickly run back to the safety of the elevator box, and if they do, the monster will quickly transform back into a lamb and hide in a random location. The player will then have to go out and continue looking for the disguised monster. If the monster is chasing the player and the player isn't able to make it back to the elevator before getting caught, it's a game over and the player will need to play the level again.
You might have noticed this flying monster that I drew next to the Lamb Chops concept art. This is an idea for another monster I had that is hiding as a bee. Although I do have plans of making other monsters, I haven't made anything besides Lamb Chops yet that's in the game. There will be later more though. There will be more though later. There will be more later. They'll come later. They will come more later.
Don't you worry about it.
I know I was just asking you how you feel about me adding the sheep grinder, but after writing the script, I decided that it should happen. The biggest reason for adding this was not only because I wanted to be able to do something with the dead bodies, but shocking the monster around to get it into the quarantine zone was actually quite tedious. So what if instead of trying to shock the monster animal into the right direction, after identifying them, you could just grab them and throw them into a grinder? Here's me making the grinder.
I wanted it to look like one of those grinders from those viral videos where someone throws a bunch of orphans' toys into the grinder and watches as it slowly and satisfyingly shreds it up.
Yeah, throw it in there. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, just like that.
Oh, come on, take it already.
I wanted the grinder to suck down the animal and then spit out a couple of meaty chunks and blood. Now that I got the grinder working... Wait. Now that I got the grinder working... Whoa. Now that I got the grinder working... Now that I got the grinder working, I have to add a way to get the animals up into the grinder. And grabbing and throwing around the animals does sound like a lot of fun. Maybe I could even get them to ragdoll when throwing them around.
Well, this sucks.
Alright, I did manage to get it working to the point where you can grab an animal, throw it across the scene, or carry it to the grinder and drop it in to be shredded up. I only kind of got the ragdoll working, and at the moment you can only see the ragdoll physics when the animal gets dropped into the grinder, and not when throwing it around. I wish I could see the ragdoll when tossing the animal around, so it's a bit disappointing that I couldn't get that part working, but I'll get over it. I probably won't change the grabbing and throwing mechanic much more, since, like I hinted at before, it kind of broke the game once already, and I don't really care to relive that. This won't be a super big game, but I do plan on adding more levels in different settings, and I've been cooking up a good lore for the game too. One of my Patreon supporters, Rosie Wings, suggested that maybe the reason why the player is looking for the monsters is to make sure that we don't eat them with the rest of the livestock, as the monsters are the result of some sort of infection that can spread to other animals when consumed, potentially even spreading to humans. Super cool idea. Right now we have the dusty chain link cage area, but I also want there to be some weird areas too, like a warehouse, or maybe an abandoned hospital or preschool. You know the tropes. Another one of my supporters on Patreon, Jan, suggested that a slaughterhouse would be a cool place to be looking for monsters, and I agree. Let me know what ideas you have, and if you want to know about the projects I'm working on before anyone else and talk to me about them, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's possible this game is ready to play now, and if so, you'll find a link to play it in the description. I'm planning on this being a part 1 to a 2-part series, so if you want to see how this turns out, subscribe. I don't know why I'm winking, I'm begging at this point. And if you want to see some of the other projects I've been working on, go and check out the other videos on my channel. Thanks to all of you for subscribing, and a huge thanks goes to my supporters on Patreon. Stefan, Pro Voice Actor 1, HMS Erebus, Figaro, Panchito, Sly, Vervain, Betsy Urena, Jan, Jarrett, Mackenzie, Rosie Wings, Fireblade, Xbox, Rhythm Song, and Luke. And to you who watched this far in the video, you know I love you. I'm trying to decide if I should actually watch the Minecraft movie at this point, because I've already done the bit. It might be a good idea so I can better prepare myself for the inevitable lawsuit that's en route to my mailbox as we speak. Also, one of my friends published a book of sci-fi horror short stories. If you like dark and zany stories, you should check it out. No generative AI was used to create the book. Support small independent creators. There's a link in the description on where to find it.